All right. Hello, hello, hello. How's everyone doing? Yes, in the chat, if y'all can hear me okay. All right, let me come in here to make sure I can see y'all. Hold up, let me move y'all to the side here. Yes, y'all can hear me? All right, it looks like there's 16 comments in here. Why am I not seeing you guys? All right, there you are. All right, hi Bonnie. Hi Annette. Let's see who else. Hi Gabrielle, nice to see you. Eunice, all right. How many of you guys were here when we did the live stream for investing in mortgage notes? How many of you guys were actually here then? Were you guys here? Yes, no? All right, let me see who's responding. All right, yes, 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 yes. All right, so who can tell me what a mortgage note is then? Before we go in, I don't want to assume that you know. All right. Eunice says no, she was not here. Okay. All right. Who would like to hop on with me? Who would like to hop on with me and tell us what a mortgage note is? I want to see if you guys were paying attention last time. All right. Edward Overton says is where you buy a note from the bank. All right. But how does it work? So, how do you get paid? If you were to purchase a mortgage note, how do you get paid? Let's see who knows. Okay, so they pay you. Who's they? The homeowner pays you the mortgage, right? Homeowner pays you the mortgage, so you basically become like the bank, right? All right. So just basically speaking, for those of you who put your answers in the chat, they do look correct. So this is exactly. So, and that says the monthly mortgage from the homeowners. Absolutely. So just like you would have, Bank of America or someone that financed the loan for your home and you would send them that mortgage payment every month, you are purchasing these mortgage notes, sometimes from banks, sometimes from hedge funds, and just, different owners of the note. So it's not always banks, but for the most part, most of the time you're going to be purchasing it, from banks, or even other individual note owners you may be purchasing from as well. Lala says, do they know? Let me see her question. I'm gonna put it up on the screen so you guys can see it. Do they know they're paying us, or do we get paid through a bank? Oh no, you don't have to get paid through a bank. So basically, this is how it works. So as it stands, well, when the last time that I did research on this, the banks, well, not just the banks, but there is about $600 billion in notes that are available to invest in. So what that means is, say, for example, if you are looking at all of the mortgages that, let's say, Bank of America has. So not all of those mortgages are going to be current, right? So some of them may be behind. So in the instance that you buy a mortgage note that is behind, then essentially you may be getting a non-performing note, which means the person is not currently paying. You can also purchase a performing note, which means that they are paying, right? Which is ideal because you you kind of want to note that they're already paying on. But then the question may be, well, why would the bank sell me a note that the person is currently paying on? There's different reasons. A lot of note investors, that I know is in the communities that I'm in that invest in notes, a lot of them will hold their note for maybe 5 years and then just sell it. And that's actually just a part of their strategy. But typically speaking, the way that mortgage note investors are able to get good deals on notes is that the bank will typically sell it to them at a discounted rate. Why? Because typically the bank has already made their money, right? So let's say, JoJo bought this house 15 years ago. And when he bought the home, he was doing well, everything was coming in. And then let's say 15 years into the payments, he loses his job, something happens, and now he can no longer afford to pay the mortgage, right? Now the mortgage is, I don't know, let's say 3 months, 4 months behind. So at that point, the banks don't necessarily have a department, to help people keep their home, right? So it's gonna, if he continues to stay in default, what's gonna happen? They're gonna foreclose on him, right? JoJo's gonna lose his home if he does not continue to pay that mortgage. So there are a lot of notes on the books for the banks, right? Kind of like when you have a car note, right? It's just payments, essentially. So these banks have a lot of notes on their books that may be behind, that people are not paying on. And that is not good for the bank, right? Because they're not making any money off of those loans. So it's that those properties are just sitting there, and their only option, it would be to foreclose on that person, if they continue to be in that condition. So as a mortgage note investor, the banks will send these notes, which is a group of notes that's called a tape, to investors like us, right? Somebody like me who's trying to buy notes for my hedge fund, right? Or to an individual investor like you. But typically the bank is not going to send them to individual investors, because a lot of times they're trying to get rid of a portfolio of notes. They're not trying to sell one or two notes at a time. They're not going to waste their time selling one or two. So they'll send the notes, the book of notes, tape of notes, to investors like us, and then we'll take a look at it and say, hey, okay, well, I see, that JoJo is 3 months behind. But let's say I look at JoJo's history and I see that, hey, JoJo, he's been paying, faithfully, for the past 15 years. And something must have happened. And so now me as a note investor, I can actually help JoJo stay in his home. Okay, I can actually kind of be like a lifesaver for JoJo and come in and purchase this note from the bank. Now, mind you, he's been paying for 15 years. Let's say the mortgage was $200,000 15 years ago when he started paying on it. He's been paying on it for 15 years. So realistically speaking, when you look at the amortization schedule, that the bank has already made their money, right? By the time that if you pay for 30 years, they've made about 3 times, right, what the original loan is with the amortization schedule. So being that he's already been paying the bank for 15 years, the bank essentially has already made what the property's worth. So they may be willing to just sell me this note for $50K. Why? Because they've already made their money. Now they won't have to deal with the headache of going through a foreclosure. And JoJo also gets to keep his home and not have to go into foreclosure, because now me as the new note owner, I can decide to help JoJo. Okay, I can say, you know what, JoJo, I see here, that you've been paying your mortgage faithfully for the past 15 years, and I see that you just lost your job. So let's do this. Let's restructure your loan now that I'm the new loan owner. Let's restructure your loan, move these payments that you're behind to the end of the loan, and you can pay it as a balloon payment to get you back current, to get you back caught up with this note. Okay, so now me as the new note owner, now I've helped JoJo to get back current with his mortgage. And now I have a note that has 15 years of payments left on it. Okay, so we've kind of helped each other out. Now, there are going to be situations where you purchase a note and you may not want to work it out with the person, right? So if I purchase a note and I see that this person has been inconsistent in their payments for like the past 5 years, That's not somebody that I'm going to say, oh, let me help them keep their home, because they're just going to get, they're going to get back in that same boat. So that's going to be, but at least you have it at your discretion, right? To help someone that really, really needs to keep their home and really is faithful with their payments. So you have, so one of the benefits of being a mortgage note investor is that you actually can be a lifesaver to people and help keep them from losing their homes. Okay, that's the plus side. And then another thing is there's so many exit strategies too for, in the note investing business. And then let's say you do get a note and the person is not necessarily someone that you will want to restructure the note for. So what then? What then? You get the note, and you can still foreclose. And when you foreclose, now you can get the home. So some people use note investing as a way to also acquire property as well. Okay, so there's again multiple strategies within note investing, within mortgage note investing. Does this make sense? Let me see some comments in the chat, especially for the new people on here who's never knew that you could actually purchase mortgages, right? And actually you become the bank and they pay you the mortgage every month. Okay, put some comments in the chat. Let me know you guys are paying attention. All right, Gabrielle says great explanation. Makes sense. Makes sense. And one of my favorite things about mortgage note investing, which is why we're having this conversation in the first place, is because it's passive. And who am I? The passive income consultant, right? So, and all of my strategies revolve around passive income. Out of all of the different ways to invest in real estate, this is one that can be passive, because even if you don't live in the same state, can you still collect mortgage payments? Absolutely. Even if you don't live in the same country, can you still collect mortgage payments? Absolutely. So if I decide to go, buy a penthouse in Panama and decide to live there, but I have mortgage notes that I own in the States, can I still continue to collect my mortgage payments? Absolutely. Right. So I'm not a landlord. Nobody's calling me because, the kid dropped something in the toilet and it won't flush. Nobody's, you don't have all of the liability that comes with being a landlord, or even the homeowner. You're just the bank collecting those mortgage payments. If if something happens to the roof and they have to fix the roof, does that have anything to do with you? No, they still have to pay their mortgage, right? So it's passive, and it also does not come with a lot of the headache, right? That people typically run into with regular investments. And trust me, I've seen some of it. I had a friend that had a couple of rental properties and just all types of stuff. He had an issue where like the city and their water pipes were somehow mixed up with his water pipes, and when they flooded, it flooded the house that he owned. And by the time he finished fixing all of that, he really didn't even have any profit for the next 6 months on his rental properties because of that, right? You don't have to deal with any of that with mortgage note investing. And if you buy a note and the person stops paying, guess what? Foreclose on the house, right? So it's kind of a no-brainer, an absolute no-brainer. But today, though, what I'm super excited about, let me go ahead and answer you guys' questions, and then I will share with you guys, the announcement that I wanted to make today. But I see there's a couple of questions in here. Let me hit those first. Gabrielle says this seems less of a risk than acquiring properties outright. So essentially, you're just purchasing promissory notes, right? The Bible says be the lender and not the borrower. So now you get to flip on the other side, where you are now the lender and you're making interest instead of paying interest, as a real estate investor. Now let me go all the way up here. I think I saw another question up here. And then, yes, okay. who can I call to invest? Edward said, who can I call to invest? That's what we're getting ready to talk about right now. I can't wait to purchase my first mortgage note. Shauna says, yes, yes. And for those of you who are givers, being able to help someone stay in their home, that's very, very powerful to position to be in as well, which is, kind of a benefit also of being a note investor. Lala says, is this a new business LLC that we have to create, or can we operate our own name as a bank? So you don't have to. So what I'm saying is you become like the bank, right? You don't have to be a bank, to own a mortgage note. You can personally own a mortgage note. I wouldn't recommend that you own it in your personal name, because I don't recommend you own anything in your personal name. That's why we have trust in Generals Equipped, right? So Lala, with you being in Generals Equipped, you can purchase your note with your business trust. Okay, you can purchase your note with your business trust. You can also purchase your note with the self-directed IRA trust that we now offer as well. So we do offer a self-directed IRA trust, but you can also just purchase it with your business trust. So I recommend using the trust. Could you purchase a note with an LLC? Absolutely. You can purchase notes with an LLC. But of course, it's not going to give you this in the same asset protection, like an irrevocable trust would. Okay. But again, it depends on how you're purchasing the notes, right? If you're purchasing the note with money that you have in a 401k, or like, let's say an IRA, maybe from an old job that you left or something like that, then we recommend that you use the self-directed IRA trust that we offer, because then you can roll over the funds from the current IRA to the self-directed one, to be able to purchase your notes. But pertaining to the question that was asked earlier, who do I call to invest in notes? This is why stay in their home. All right. So is this, I'm trying to see what is your question? It says, is a business trust better than a self-directed IRA trust? It depends, because the business trusts that we have are structured for you to be able to invest in notes. But the self-directed IRA trust, I feel like it's better if you're rolling over funds, right? If you just have money sitting in a regular bank account that you wanted to use to purchase a note, then it doesn't really matter if you use a business trust or a self-directed IRA trust. The self-directed IRA trust comes in handy when you're having to roll over funds, because if you just have money sitting in a regular IRA or a regular 401k, and you try to take that out to invest in mortgage notes, you're going to get a penalty, right? Obviously. But if you roll it over from one retirement vehicle into a self-directed one that allows you to invest in notes, then you can save on, the having to pay those penalties. So the benefit of the self-directed IRA trust is if you need to roll over funds from a current retirement account or annuity or something else that you have those funds in. But if you have the money just sitting in a regular bank account, then it doesn't matter. You can just use the regular business trust. Okay. So I'm seeing some questions here. What is the typical cost to purchase the notes? All right. So we're going to get into that, because this service that I'm introducing to you guys today is we are now offering a done for you mortgage note acquisition service. And the reason why we're doing that is because even with our Generals Equipped program, you guys are setting up your trust and then moving on to investing in different passive income opportunities, including mortgage notes. However, some of you may not necessarily want to go through the learning curve of trying to figure out, purchasing a note and all of the different things that go into purchasing a note. And so we're offering that done for you service. It initially started out as us wanting to offer that for our students in Generals Equipped, but I'm opening it up to those that are not necessarily students in Generals Equipped, but still want to invest in mortgage notes. So I'm going to go ahead and put it up here so you guys can see. You won't be able to see me because it will be kind of like up on the screen. But this is introducing our done for you note investing service. This is basically a white glove acquisition service that includes us sourcing the note for you, doing the due diligence to find the notes, finding the right note for you. And typically we're going to do a performing note because we want to do something that already has someone that's current making payments. We don't necessarily really want to put you in anything that has to go through foreclosure or anything like that. So we're going to be purchasing performing notes, okay, which means that the person is currently making payments. So we have two packages. The first one, package one, is a single note package where there's one mortgage note that's acquired for you. That includes our done-for-you note acquisition service fee, which is $5,000, and then one mortgage note priced around $50,000, and then estimated additional fees, with, including closing costs, due diligence, recording with the city, and all of those different things that maybe come up to around an extra $10,000. So the price for package one is $65,000. Package two is a double note package. Essentially, you're just getting two notes instead of one, of course, which includes our acquisition service fee, us finding and sourcing and purchasing two notes for you. And then there's an additional $99 fee for each additional note that we purchase within that package. But yeah, so this is a completely done for you service. And the great thing is now, which is another part of the announcement that I wanted to make today, is that we are now offering financing, right? Because obviously, if you want to invest in real estate, most people don't have, $100,000 sitting in a 401k or sitting in an IRA. Some people do, some people don't, right? Which is the reason why a lot of times when people want to buy an investment property or something, they have to go get a mortgage. They have to get it financed, right? Because most people don't have that sitting around. And so now we are offering financing for those who are interested in investing in the notes and utilizing one of these packages. So these are brand new. You guys are the first ones to hear about this. Of course, our students in Generals Equipped are going to have first dibs on this, right? And priority to jump on this to start purchasing their notes, but it is opened to those that are not members of Generals Equipped as well. Okay, so I'm going to come back in the chat here and see what questions you guys have. Okay, so let me see. Celeste says, I recommend you take a screenshot of this. You guys can still hear me, correct? Yes? Yes, in the chat. All right, because Shauna was asking what's the minimum amount needed. Essentially, you could purchase, a note for around 30,000, but it's not going to be paying you right as much as a note that has a higher balance, right, on the loan, right? So think about it. Like if you were to purchase a car and you got a note on that car, if you were buying a $20,000 car compared to a $50,000 car, the payments are going to be higher, right? The bigger the balance is. So it's the same thing for the mortgage note. So if you are buying a note and there's a smaller balance, UPB on it, smaller unpaid balance on it, then of course the payments are going to be smaller, right? So essentially you could get a note for 35,000, but it's not going to be something that's paying you $600 a month for the mortgage. It may be closer to maybe 3-4. Okay, so average that I recommend is purchasing a note somewhere around 50,000, so that you can be able to get your payments can be closer to $600-700 a month. And of course, you want to keep in mind that if you're financing this with financing, of course, then you'll need to kind of be able to calculate what your actual positive cash flow would be. Kind of like if you were to buy a rental property and you financed it, and let's say if your mortgage is $500 a month for that property, but you're charging the tenant $800 a month, then you're cash flowing only $300, right? Until it's at least paid off. So it's going to be the same if you're financing, right? So you'll be able to get, and the financing that we offer, depending on what your credit is, you could even get 3-4% interest if you have really good credit. So it's pretty good. And the loan amounts are not that big. unless you're getting the two notes, which will be the $100,000. Um, then essentially you would have two cash flowing notes instead of just one. So it just it just depends. But so that is the average for those that were asking. Bonnie says, how do we go about applying for financing? What will be needed? It's really simple. It's because the financing that we're offering is financing that we use for all of our programs now. But by the way, for those of you who are interested in joining Generals Equipped or AQFLI or any of our programs, this financing can be applied to that as well, not just investing in mortgage notes. So yeah, so as far as what you need, it's just as simple as a one-page application. That is really simple and easy. And if you want to put the link in here, Celeste can put the link in the chat here for those of you who are interested in applying. But yeah, you can put that in the chat, Celeste. But other than that, which package though do you think you'd be interested in? Bonnie, would it be the OneNote and paying the 65,000 for that, or would it be the two notes package and just doing the 100,000? So let me know which one you're interested in. All right, so she says package one. All right, Liz says this is awesome. I'm late to the live. I'm thankful for the information. But yes, so we do have offer financing now for all of our programs. Because I know there's some of you that wanted to join Generals Equipped and you were like, hey, I don't have the money right now, but now you can actually finance it and go ahead and get in. And then who knows, once you start getting your grant funding and all of that, you can go back and pay pay off your enrollment fee for AQFLI or Generals Equipped. But Lady Day says two is better than one. Any other questions about the mortgage notes themselves? I know a lot of you were on the first live stream that we did with the Q&A, so you guys were able to get a lot of your questions answered pertaining to how mortgage note investing works and all of that. But are there any questions? Any questions that you have pertaining to this? Because we're not going to be on here for long, because I really just wanted to give you guys the update on the new packages, but also let you know that we now offer financing on all of it. You're funny, Shauna. All right, so great question. Watchman says, is there a down payment required with the financing? Is that based on credit, or is there a expected down payment to finance the notes? So this is just applying for credit, just like if you were applying for a credit card. So it's going to be based on your credit, and no, there isn't a down payment. Okay, this is not like financing a car or financing a house. This is just regular financing that we're using for all of our programs and all of our consulting services. So it does not require a down payment. It's just, you just apply. And that's another reason why we packaged it as a part of our how do I put it? Our consulting services and part of our program. So that way it's just, you're just paying for the package, right? For that service that we're providing. So that way it's not structured in a way where it's like, oh, I'm trying to finance a house, right? And I need a down payment. So it's structured differently for that reason. And then Liz says, how long will these packages be available for financing? Well, right now they're available, so they should still be available. These are the two packages that we decided to do. We thought about doing some bigger packages, but we're like, no, because I think the vendor that we have for the funding, they only allow you to apply for up to $100,000. Right. So yeah, that's the max that we can do. But you can always, purchase your first note, or your first two notes. And then, once you start getting that cash flow every month, of course, especially for those of you who are in Generals Equipped, you can just let that money, continue to grow, or maybe go straight to send it to your IUL policy. Then as you're building up your IUL policy, then you can pull it from the death benefit, remember, and then continue to grow that endowment fund for your nonprofit. So this is another way to kind of quick jumpstart that, because I know a lot of you guys that are in Generals Equipped have your IUL policies already, but you may not have the extra money to start chucking in there. So if you bought your first note, that monthly payment that you're receiving for those mortgage payments, you can start stacking up your IUL policy so that you can be able to start pulling and borrowing from their death benefit. And that'll give you some extra cash flow to do that. Okay, so that's a strategy that you can use if you are a Generals Equipped member, and you're trying to get some extra money to start really fattening up that IUL. Lala says, is it easy to sell the mortgage note if it's not performing? Great question. Absolutely. Absolutely. If it's not performing, you can foreclose. Okay, so you can foreclose, get the property, and then you can put a new homeowner in there. Or you could just sell the note. Okay, and actually because think about it, let's say if you have 15 years of payments left on that note when you purchase it. The average family that has good credit is probably going to try to refinance about every 7 years or so. Okay, and guess what? If they refinance while you're the owner of that note, guess what? They have to pay you off. So sometimes as a note investor, you might be sitting there getting monthly payments, mortgage payments from your note, and then all of a sudden you would get a big check. Like, wait, what happened? They refinanced and paid off the loan. Okay, those are some of the the good surprises, right? That happens sometimes. But yes, absolutely. If it's not performing anymore, you can restructure the loan if you feel like the tenant is good enough to do that. Not the tenant, but the homeowner is good enough. Is a good enough. It's not a risk. Then you can do that, or you could just foreclose. Okay, if you foreclose, you're gonna get paid anyway. Lala says, is there a not done for you option where we learn the whole process, like in Generals Equipped? Absolutely. So when you graduate from Generals Equipped, remember, if you go to the website, go to patiencedean.com or patiencedeanfinance.com, and you look at the full program for Generals Equipped, the goal is, the first program is the Wealth with Trust and Perpetuity, right? Where you guys set up your trust, you get your nonprofit cash flowing, get your business cash flowing, get your grant funding coming in, get your endowment fund set up, and then now you have the foundation. And then now from there, you graduate into one of our passive income programs, including the mortgage note program. So yes, there are Generals Equipped students who will be able to graduate and go straight into the note program where they actually learn how to do it themselves. Absolutely, right? That is available. Mm-hmm. Because Generals Equipped, the trust, the Wealth with Trust and Perpetuity, that's kind of like the prerequisite program to kind of get all of your ducks in a row. So you already have your structures in place. So now when you go become a note investor, now that money, you know exactly what to do with it. Okay, now I have this money going into my IUL. Bam, now I can pull it from the death benefit. Now I can grow mine. So you already have your systems in place to build your perpetual wealth for generations before you go into it. But yes, you can learn it yourself in the program. Of course, it's a longer learning curve, right? But this is for those who are like, hey, I still want to go ahead and at least get a couple of notes under my belt so I can start getting that extra cash flow coming in right now, even while I'm still in Generals Equipped, even if I'm not in the program. So I can start building that portfolio on a done for you basis. All right. Shauna says, would our nonprofit be able to apply? Says my credit is not happy right now. I've been getting credit card offers for my nonprofits. That's a great question. Can a nonprofit apply for a note? Yeah, it can. It can. Because I was just thinking about the fact that, because you can use that income to build up even the endowment fund for the nonprofit. So yeah, you can apply. Mm-hmm. I haven't. I don't know if it, because the way that the loans are currently structured, because this is brand new, it's a brand new funding partner that we have. So I don't know if they allow you to apply under a business name or not, but you can try and see. But that's a really good question though that we can look into. And you can also just, you don't have to necessarily use our financing either. Like you could also just apply for business funding under your nonprofit too, and then still use it, for the program. But we just wanted to be able to offer that financing for you guys if you wanted to use that option to start getting some passive income, a real estate passive income now. Person says, how long do we have to decide on the financing option? How long is this offer available? This offer is available going forward. It's just we weren't offering financing before, and we wanted to make that available to our students and also to the public, which is the purpose of this live stream, to let you guys know that. So yeah, the offer is still available. And of course, when you apply, you're going to be approved according to your credit. So. Shauna, what are you asking about the trust? Are you talking about applying for the loan under your business trust or under your nonprofit trust? Give me a little bit more on your question. But yes, so let me just pop the packages back up here for those of you who wanted to see them again. Like, where can you invest in real estate at these prices, right? And have passive income coming in, right? You can't buy a rental property for $65,000. Yes. So what did you mean, Shauna? All right. So question was, how do we go about applying using our trust? That's a great question. I don't even know if you can, because as of right now, the application, I think it just asks for your name. I could reach out to the company and see if they allow applications for businesses and look into that. We do have some other option that we might be able to use for those of you who may want to apply under a business. But as for right now, I think this one is just kind of like a personal application. Yeah, as of right now, it's a personal application. Liz says, so I'm ready to get investing into my legacy. Yeah, we'll see if we can get some things in place for you guys to be able to apply under a business, but we may have to use a different vendor for that and just kind of give you guys multiple options. We actually used to have that. All right, so Melissa says, do I need to have a business with an LLC to have a trust? Says, also, do I have she says, also, I do have a 401k, but it's with my current job, so I don't think I can do a rollover because you're currently on the job. Yeah, because typically you have to, leave the job to be able to roll over the funds. But proceeding to the first part of your question, do you need to have a business with an LLC? No, absolutely not. The trust is its own separate entity. Okay. The same way that an LLC is an entity, the trust is its own separate entity. So you don't need to have both an LLC and a trust. You can if you want to, because I know sometimes some people may want to have like a different LLC for each thing that they invest in, but then just have their trust own all of those LLCs. You could do that, but you don't need an LLC to have a trust. They're their own entities. You can use the trust instead of an LLC. Okay. The main difference that we have to keep in mind is if you're using an LLC, it depends on how much access do you need to the capital that's coming in, right? if the money that you're going to be getting every month, if the monthly payments that you're going to be getting every month from the note you're going to need access to it and you actually need to use that money to live on, then I recommend maybe doing an LLC, right? Because that's going to give you immediate access, and you will be the owner of that LLC bank account. You'll be able to directly manage and have access to those funds, because when you have a trust and anything that you have in that trust, that no longer belongs to you. It belongs to the trust. Okay. And as the owner of the trust, you can't have beneficial interest in the trust. That's part of the reason why you have asset protection in the first place, right? Because you don't have beneficial interest in the trust. You are not, it's not a self-settled trust, and you never want to have a self-settled trust because that wouldn't give you any asset protection. So the other side is, if you were to do the trust, understand that the assets are not yours anymore. They belong to the trust. And so you would have limited access to the funds that come into the trust. That's if you did one trust. Okay. The reason why I say that is you can have the same type of access or control over the funds with a trust, but to do that, you would have to have multiple trusts and just a more sophisticated trust structure, which is kind of what we already have in Generals Equipped. Right? It's already structured to give control over the funds without you having ownership over anything, because it belongs to the trust, and then the assets are protected. But if you don't have that structure and you're just comparing like one trust, one irrevocable trust to an LLC, then I would recommend the LLC if you need immediate access to that money. If you don't, and you really just wanted some long-term growth, then you can do the trust. You can also do the self-directed IRA trust, right? If you're going to be rolling over, the funds, then you're definitely going to need to do the self-directed, right? So that you can be rolling it over from one investment, retirement vehicle into another, so that you're not penalized. Okay. But yeah, so hopefully that answers your question. If you just have the money sitting there, then the real determining factor would be, do you need immediate access to the funds or not, as far as whether you're using the LLC versus the trust. They're great questions, though. Yes. All right. She says, I wanted the packages. Wanted to see the packages again. It's not on the website yet. That's how new this is, guys. So you guys are the first ones to be seeing these packages. It's not even on the website yet. Now, we do have the Done For You Note Investing service on our website, but we don't have these two packages in there yet. It'll be going up in there today. Okay. It'll be going in there today. So we just wanted to have the live stream so you guys can have the opportunity to ask some questions. And then for those of you who are new to mortgage note investing, I recommend going back and watching the first live stream that we did on mortgage note investing, where we had the Q&A, so you can kind of get a good foundational understanding of it, and then come back to this one. If you're trying to really get a foundational understanding about mortgage note investing. This live stream was more so to just show you guys the new offer and let you guys know that we offer financing now. Great question, Celeste. Can you apply for financing if you're in places like South Africa? Typically, you're going to need a social security number if you're applying for financing, from the U.S. So if they have a social security number and they just happen to live in South Africa, absolutely, they can. But if they're actually South African and they don't have a social security number, it's going to be kind of hard to apply for the loan, but they can give it a shot. Liz says, can we share this video? Absolutely. You can share this video. And if you're sharing the video with someone who has no idea what a mortgage note is, you may want to also share the first video with them as well, where we did the original live stream on the mortgage notes. Okay. Watchman says, if we apply for the note acquisition as a personal loan, can that be moved into the business trust once everything is set up? when you say be moved into the business trust, what do you mean? Are you talking about the liability um, for the loan? What do you mean moved into the business trust? Yeah, so I'll answer it from this perspective. So yes, if you were to, let's say, get the $100,000 as a personal loan, and then you do open up your bank accounts for the trust, and let's say you join Generals Equipped, you open up the bank accounts for your trust, and you get everything set up, and you want to put that money into your the trust bank account, absolutely, you can. Right? You can do that. I mean, it wouldn't be any different than if you applied for business credit with a personal guarantee. It'd be similar to that. Okay, that's a great question. All right. Any other questions, comments pertaining to investing in the notes? Like I said, I don't want to be on here for too long because we do have another live stream tonight for our regular Supernatural Money Monday, which of course that's another Q&A. So you guys can ask more questions on there. But other than that, I do want to see, maybe I can just kind of close this out with the thing on the screen so you guys can be able to maybe take screenshots of the offer. And then you can also send, if you're interested in investing in the notes after this live stream, you can also send a text to our tech support phone number, which is supposed to be here on the screen, but I don't see it. So give me a second. So it is, can you put our tech support number in here? I'm trying to figure out why it's not up here. Typically it is, it's 757, yes, 304, I think. Yeah, I think this was the frame when we did note rating. Let me put that around here. So it has our tech support number on the bottom. See, it says 757-304-6093. Okay, 757-304-6093. So you can go ahead and yes, and send text to our tech support number if you want to, maybe have a picture of the offer, or for her to send you the link to the page that has the offer. But we do have, it is on there. Like if you go to patiencedeanfinance.com, well, that's going to show you all the stuff for Generals Equipped. And if you go to patiencedean.com and you scroll down to all of our services, you will see the done for you note acquisition service on there. Now, these packages are not on there yet, but they will be on there by tonight. Okay, but any other questions, guys, just send a text to our tech support number, 757-304-6093. And I'll be back on here again in a couple of hours at 9 p.m. Eastern for my regular Supernatural Money Monday Q&As. So any additional questions, you can ask on the Q&As as well. And then Amanda says, what is the minimum credit ideal for approval? I don't know. They didn't really tell me, because I don't think they're only looking at credit. They're looking at a lot of other factors besides just your credit. So yeah, I don't know. This and then again, this is a new vendor that we're using. So it's like we don't have enough data to go back and say, okay, well, it looks like out of the last 50 people that applied, their credit score was, we don't have that data yet. So just give it a shot if you're ready to move forward, and then, see if you're able to get the funding. And then also keep in mind, guys, for those of you who want to join Generals Equipped and you didn't have the money to start, because I told you guys the price went up for Generals Equipped as well. That the beginning, the introductory price that we had when we did the webinar, it's not that price anymore. Okay, so it went up. And you can see it if you go to patiencedeanfinance.com. You can see the new pricing and everything on there. And I know there's a lot of you guys also that wanted to join, but were not able to join for financial reasons, which is also the reason why we decided to go ahead and offer financing as well. So you guys can go ahead and get in, start setting up your trust, start getting your donations and funding and stuff coming in. And then you can always go back and pay off, whatever you got to come into the program. All right. But other than that, we're getting ready to, she said, thank you, tech support. Thank you, tech support. Yes, but yes, we have the tech support number on here that you guys can call. I'm gonna go ahead and put the packages up here again for a second if you guys want to go ahead and take a screenshot of it. I'll give you guys a second to take a screenshot if you're on your phones of the two different packages. Basically, 65,000 for the one note package and 100,000 for the two notes. Okay, it's pretty simple. And yeah, it's completely done for you. And then for those of you who actually want to learn the process of getting to get notes and everything, you'll need to go through Generals Equipped and graduate, and then you'll be able to graduate and go into the Arbitrage Queen School of Real Estate, where you can learn, how to invest in notes for yourself and go through the whole process. Okay. So hopefully I was able to give you guys enough time to get your screenshots in and get all of that in. And then I will see you guys tonight later on for our live stream. All right, and this is our little disclaimer. This content is for educational and informational purposes only and does not constitute as financial, legal, or investment advice. I'm a business consultant specializing in passive income strategies. Always consult your licensed professional before making investment decisions. All right. Had to take care of that for legal. All right, awesome. So I'm gonna put this up here again for quick screenshots, and then we will go ahead and wrap up the live stream. And I'll see you guys in a couple of hours for our Supernatural Money Monday live stream at 9 p.m. Eastern. Good night, everyone. Well, good night for now. See y'all in a few minutes, a few hours.
Patience Dean has had multiple encounters with the supernatural, including a visit to heaven where she saw that all of us have a book, and within each book are all of the plans for our lives. She saw that most people are not living their books. So many kingdom businesses, books, and inventions are being stagnated by the enemy. In Patience's powerful encounters with God, she found the place where business and the supernatural converges. Now she wants to teach you how to overcome every strategy of the enemy, to launch that business, write that book, or get patent pending on that brilliant idea. Do you feel out of purpose, as if losing the battle against time? Are the promises of God stagnant in your life? Do you feel a tug from God to start a business? Stop fighting alone and call Patience Dean Studios now. Let us help you break through to live the abundant life that is already written for you.